I am going to call the meeting to order and we confirm we have a quorum. Sadiq has an excused absence. He has conflicts with his class, but I know that the University of Harvard is closed, so I did contact him and invite him to join us if he wanted to. So I don't know if he can or not. And you didn't hear from Lenny, did you, John?
I did not.
Okay. Well, he's usually a little late coming in, so that's okay. Morning, Dave. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the January 9th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Steve
Second.
moves. Second by Bob. Any additions, deletions, corrections? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, passes unanimously. We will hold off on Attorney Crombie. Are you going to try and contact him again, John? Or are you just expecting he's going to show up if he shows up?
I think he'll show up if he's going to show up.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the RFP under old business, or how do you want to handle this?
I can either do it there or under the town planner's report, whichever you prefer.
I think we'll talk about it so people are aware of what's going on.
Okay, for those under the CIF grant, which we were awarded, and then just before Justin's departure, we completed the preparation of an RFQ to put out for consultants to prepare the town plan, both the physical plan and the economic plan. The purchasing agent got it all done and put it out for advertising, and immediately was instructed by the town attorney to pull it back because he had not seen it and wanted to review it, and I think make a couple of changes. And so we did pull it back. So the RFP is right now on hold. Attorney Crombie is in conversations with DECD because any changes we make in anything has to be approved by DECD. My sense is that there was one clause in the RFP that specifically referred to this group, the EDC/DA, as the oversight organization. And my sense is that they, as you well know, the council is moving ahead to create a site-specific, really, development authority for the town center, which would then have the oversight authority for the town development of the town plan. That's as far as I know now. I have not been in contact, nor has DECD been in contact with me. They're dealing directly with Attorney Crombie. He said he would inform me. I have pressed him a couple of times to when we can get the RFQ back out, and I'm waiting for his reply.
So basically, John, what does that mean? That means that we're on hold until, and if there's a decision by council. Is that correct?
Well, not necessarily a decision by council getting that process completed, but a release by the town and council for the purchasing agent to put the RFQ back out. I don't think.
But if there is a change in the RFQ and our DA no longer has the oversight, that is changed. I'm still very confused. And once our new attorney understands what's going on, that's one reason I'd like him to come in and talk to us so we can understand what our role, if any, is going to be in the future of town development, town center development. And Mike, if you want to make any comments, if you have any insights into this, I'd appreciate it.
Well, pardon me. I just wanted to mention I had to speak with Attorney Crombie last night, late in the day yesterday, on a Winterberry Mall issue. As you know, there's some work going on with that. And I mentioned this morning's EDC meeting to him and that he was on the schedule. He hadn't been copied, I guess. So he was unaware of the meeting and said at that point his schedule was full. He wasn't able to attend. So I said I would mention that in this morning's meeting.
Okay. John, let's invite him again if we can.
Yes.
on the issue of the town RFP town plan, we'll have to recuse ourselves from any discussions on that because no surprise, I guess, we intend to respond to it when it does.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you in that position, Mike.
No, that's all right. No, I just want to make sure we're being transparent, so.
Okay, good. Okay, any other old business, John?
No.
Okay, any questions from the commission before we go forward? Hello, Manny, thank you for joining us. Okay, new business. Attorney Crumby is not going to be with us. He's got a conflict. We'll invite him again and again until he comes to see us. Any update on new applications at TPZ, John?
Well, there's a number coming. I think if you followed the press at all, we this coming meeting, which is a week from this Thursday, we will continue the hearing on the cannabis retail application for 12 Seneca Road. We've asked the applicant to provide some additional information, and I expect that the commission will close the hearing. With whether they will act, I am not sure. In March, because the Doncaster application for that expansion was initially scheduled to come up for this February meeting, but the Wetlands Commission was unable to get a quorum for their January meeting. So the Wetlands will be starting their review of the Doncaster proposal next Tuesday for their February meeting, which means we will not start at TPZ till the March meeting, which is March 28th. We also received an application, which we will open a hearing next Thursday for a significant change and expansion of the PLR that was never constructed on off of Watkins Road down near Simsbury Road, and the applicant purchased that development property and the property on the corner of Simsbury Road and Watkins Road, and is coming in for an expansion of the PLR and a change from duplex units to single family units. A significant increase in units. So that hearing will get opened next Wednesday. We have heard from the age-restricted proposed development of Blue Hills Avenue on the old cinema site, and we expect to see them probably in April. Wittenberry Mall, about the only thing I can tell you is that the owner is doing some significant roof repairs right now. So that and the bakery and the Thai restaurant have both reopened. The Thai restaurant, at their own expense, made all of their necessary repairs, and then had a second incident when the roofers cut their refrigeration unit, and they had to lost everything and had to go back and do that. But they're up and running, and may potentially be looking at some other sites, but want to obviously remain in town. Town manager search, it's my understanding, and this is basically secondhand, has been reopened, that there are some applicants, and it's going to stay open until they select somebody, and that they may begin screening some resumes this week.
John, may I ask you a question about that? This
Sure.
has to do with the change in the what do they call it? Our agreement, or
the residency requirement.
Yeah.
There sort of a combination thing. I know that it's instituted a charter revision commission that I think I left before the end of the meeting last night, but I think was acted on last night to formally start that process of forming it and making the appointments. It's my understanding that, and I have not seen any detailed language, that there is an interpretation to allow a potential TM applicant or designee to not move immediately into town, but I can't give you the details on that. But I know that they're trying to find a way to broaden the residency permission for the town manager.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to, because the first conversation that the new attorney had, that Crombie had about this, it was a subcommittee meeting, maybe, I'm not sure. It was the interpretation of what residency meant, and he felt that we could say that you did not have to actually live in town 7 days a week. You had to have a presence in town, if I remember, and it's a non-legal description.
I think the language, well, yeah, it had to have a presence in town all the time, but did not say you had to have a residence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because from what we were told, there were a number of applicants that were, in Connecticut, but not residents of Bloomfield, that were then excluded.
But they're, the council's keeping the whole process understandably fairly close to them.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad that's moving forward. And then on the Winterberry Mall, I guess it's not called a lounge, but whatever that development is next to Carbone's.
That's going ahead. I saw him last week when we, bunch of us had some lunch at Carbone's Kitchen, and he's moving ahead. He's not moving as fast as he wanted to, but he's moving full bore ahead. And I think hopes to open within the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Good. And what is it called again? Do you remember? I
do not.
Okay. I know it's not the lounge anymore. It was going to be a hookah lounge, and then it's not. It's going to be an entertainment spot, I guess.
Correct.
With alcohol and light beverages.
Correct.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about this so far? Go ahead, John.
Just a couple of on the director of planning position. It's my understanding that the recruitment period closed on Friday, and I do not know how many applicants applied, and I do not know the timeline for a final decision to be made. So for the moment, I'm continuing as interim director. And
got a lot to do for a one-person job there, John.
I'm getting a lot of help from Linda, who's the zoning enforcement. She's really stepped up, and she's doing a marvelous job.
Oh, that's great. Good.
And on the POCD, we had Marcy made a presentation to the council last night to update them. Basically, we're now getting to the point where they're going to come in with specific strategies and recommendations. And it's the intent to have the process completed and adopted by early June. One of the reasons it's going to stretch to then is there's a 65-day period where the plan has to be out for public review and review by the Capital Region Council of Governments.
And at what point will there be public input, John?
I would think that public input will probably be in April and May.
Okay. And do we have any idea if we're being invited as an EDC or just as residents?
If you would like a specific presentation, we can arrange that.
I'm not talking about presentation so much as if they want us, I will volunteer myself. I'm not going to volunteer the commission, but if they want someone to kind of chair a table, which is the way this happened 10 years ago, to kind of run a conversation, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Okay. If anyone else is interested, let John know. Okay.
Bonnie?
Yes, Bob?
We aren't at that point yet, but I might just put an or in that if we're going to propose a % for the arts policy for the town, that perhaps, and I really don't know what the presentation process is, but we may need to do a presentation on that subject for public interest and comment. So I just put that in as a marker.
Hey, John, you hear him, right?
I heard it. I wrote it down.
Okay.
Thanks so much, John.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, Bonnie.
Yes, Steve.
Just in regards to your past experience in the involvement with the EDC and with this process, if you could enlighten us, you said you had a table there. So in order for us to be able to evaluate whether we should assist you there, can you just give us?
I didn't have a table. If that's what you thought I said, I misspoke then. The way it was set up, there were small, that you broke up into small groups, and each group was led by someone at a table. And I led one of the tables. I don't think EDC again, we're advisory, so they never quite know what to do with us, but I think we could certainly offer if they want some more bodies to help with the conversation. They may or may, the council may or may not want us to be involved.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Member update. I know Bob usually have one. Are you have anything to talk about, or was that it?
Yes, thank you, Bonnie. Just a quick update. Obviously, we are still working on editing proposed percent for the arts and taking the recommendations of our last meeting here, keeping it shorter and less technical. Still, if anyone has additional comments or suggestions for input, we invite that. More substantively, the Arts Commission is making a great deal of progress just recently. We do have two new commissioners in waiting. They've started participating. So we're now up to 6 commissioners, which feels more like a full board that can get things done. And very briefly, we have already planned and are setting the details in motion for a spring arts festival, which will be May 12th weekend this year. This is separate from Celebrate Bloomfield. This is just under the auspices of the Art Commission. And we will have a 3-day exhibit at the Oliver Philly House of painting and sculpture. We are having 2 performances which have already been booked. Our Deputy Mayor, Tony Harrington, is appearing with his musical group on Saturday afternoon, and on Sunday afternoon, we will be having Walter Gordiak and the New England Jazz Ensemble appearing. And we are having a reading of a poet, published poet from town. And also we will have a reading of a winning essay for Black History Month. And I'm speaking for the Arts Commission tomorrow evening at a group meeting at the Senior Center in town here, which will be entertaining the essays at the high school for Black History Month. So quite a bit of activity. We're very excited that things are starting to get some traction, and we will keep you all up to date, and you'll get invitations and all of that.
Any questions? Well, congratulations, Bob. I know this has been a long haul for you, and it's wonderful to see something happening.
Thank you. It ain't over yet, but we're working on it.
But it's starting. But it's starting, and that's
we're moving.
All starts with the first step.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay. We have the report from Government of New York. Did anyone have any questions, or does anyone from Government of New York have any comments or additions they want to add to this?
Nothing from our end. I don't think as you pointed out, you should have received a copy of our monthly report. You know, there's a fair bit of activity generally in the industry. Of course, a lot of the folks in the industry are anticipating a cut in interest rates, or several cuts in interest rates this year. So we'll see what happens. It's an election year, so there's always a level of uncertainty in any kind of election year. So stay tuned on the combination of the impact of those two things. Hard to tell. Certainly, we're seeing more activity in suburban retail and suburban office with the sort of permanence, I guess, we're seeing in remote working. You're probably reading about companies requiring employees to return to the office, and certainly we're seeing some of that. But we think that remote working is here to stay. And even with these edicts about returning to the office, return to office typically so far anyways has meant, sort of 3 days a week, something like that. So companies aren't saying, you have to be in the office 5 days a week, 40 hours and so on. They're requiring some office time, but not 5 days a week. So stay tuned. But the interesting part in retail is that suburban retail has seen for example, in 2023 saw more store openings than store closings. And that's the first time we've seen that in a few years. And most of the activity is in the suburbs. You're probably reading about the trouble that regional malls are in. That's definitely the case. We've worked on many of them, trying to figure out what those sites can be reused for. But despite the distress in regional malls, suburban open air or strip center retail has seen a bit of a resurgence because of remote working, people staying home and being able to get out, do some shopping near home during the day. So, lots going on out there. There's, as usual, lots of uncertainty, but we'll see how it plays out. Denise and I and Dave Driver are continuing to meet with different property owners that have ideas, that come into the town and talk about doing something. Denise and I have a meeting later today with a couple of people that inherited a piece of property and put in an inquiry to talk to someone about what could be done on that property. So we'll meet with them, and right at the moment, I think we have to maintain their confidentiality, but hopefully next month we'll be able to give you a report. The only other thing I would mention is our thanks go out to John Coleman. I mean, John has picked up the reins from Justin and has just done a terrific job.
Definitely.
It's been a real pleasure to work alongside him over the last little while. We know the search is underway, but I can tell you, because of all the towns we work for, there are a lot of open positions in that role. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of activity we get. But meanwhile, John's been doing a great job, and it's been a great pleasure to work with him.
I'll second that, Mike. I feel exactly the same way. And I have a question for you, Mike. The suburban retail, are there any segments in particular that seem to be stronger than others?
Well, pardon me, the traditional hard goods categories, things like jewelry and menswear and fashion, have a lot of that business has moved online. Where the activity is happening in open air retail or strip center retail is really focused on arts and entertainment and food and beverage. In other words, experiential sort of stuff, everything from pickleball courts to fitness facilities of, the range of categories now in fitness facilities is really interesting to see. But the food and beverage business has picked up again, I think, for a couple of reasons. One, people coming out with new prototypes of food operations, and two, that's where the market is now, with more people sort of staying home during the day, working from home, and so on. That category of food and beverage has really picked up. The other thing that's a good, interesting data point is sales of food in a restaurant, prepared food in a restaurant format, whether that's a restaurant or fast food or anything. Sales in that category last year amounted to more than sales in the traditional grocery category. And that's an indicator of a real shift. Not unexpected. People have been cooking less at home for quite a while. Those numbers have been dropping down. But food in a grocery environment now is sales of food in a grocery environment now are less than sales of food in a restaurant or food and beverage environment. So I think that's an indicator of where we're just going to see continual increases in activity as that shift continues to happen.
It's very interesting because, part of what we've been talking about with the center of town is trying to get local entrepreneurs and support them. And I think you're sort of indicating that may not be something that is going to be viable, or?
I missed that last part.
This has been going on for like 20 years, Mike, that we've been talking about microloans and supporting local businesses and having the diversity that we have in town be what we really is the center of what we are. And I think I hear you saying that the idea of a little shop opening up that sells local goods or something is probably not as likely as food, as restaurants, as
Right.
experiences.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. I mean, definitely the gift hard goods, the things I mentioned earlier, a big chunk of those sales have moved online. And if you're operating that sort of business, you can see the ability to sell online gives you a much greater market than a little, 2,500 square foot
Yeah.
store in a community somewhere. The obviously the trade area is dramatically larger. So,
And the reason I'm bringing it up, and it's kind of a cautionary tale about everything that's going on in conversations about the downtown area. I think, I'm not telling you your business, Mike, but I think part of what your job and maybe our job and council's job is to lower expectations or to change expectations of what they
yeah,
think.
I think you're right.
Really think people think we're going to go back to 1978 and have the Wittenberry Mall again. And that's not
Yeah.
going to happen. It's going to be something very different.
That's right. It's not going to be, and I think your term of changing expectations is the correct one. I mean, as I said, you're just, we've often heard in towns, people will say to us, gee, you can't buy a pair of pants in town. Well, you're right. And you probably won't be able to buy a pair of pants in town for quite a while. That's just not where the growth is. It's, a lot of that has been taken up by general merchandise retailers. The higher end, of course, stays in the Nordstroms of the world and so on, and the higher end stores. So you're just not going to find the local haberdasher or dress shop or jeweler to the same degree that we might have seen years ago. And
I
instead,
just think it's a huge educational process that
yeah, sure.
has to go on, both about the expectation of having control of them all and what's going to happen when and if we do get control of them all. Thank you
Yeah, I
very much,
mean,
Mike.
it's a market, as you know. I mean, as all of you know, if there's one consistent thing in our world, it's change. So
Exactly.
And Bonnie, if I may just share
Yes, Bob.
a personal experience report. About a week ago, we went to Evergreen Walk, which we all know is really a destination retail because there's nothing else around it except shops. On a Saturday, went into Williams-Sonoma. There were only 2 people besides ourselves in Williams-Sonoma, but 3 doors down, we went over for lunch, and it was so crowded that we had a 45-minute wait for our food. Yeah. I politely complained, and they actually were so busy they comped us on one of 2 lunch meals. The restaurants were swamped. You couldn't get in. And as you say, Mike, the shops where you can have an alternative to order online were empty. So we should bear that in mind when things come before us, even for recommendation, that feature restaurants. Let's encourage that, because that will bring business to town, and other things maybe not.
I mean, that's a good point, Bob. The food operations tend to have a greater number of weekly trips and daily trips than do some of these other categories I mentioned, jewelry and, dress shops and so on. So, I mean, they are good additions to a community. They drive traffic that other businesses can benefit from.
And frankly, if we're to attract people from our town and neighboring towns to arts events, we should expect that they'll want to have lunch more than necessarily buy an antique. Just a thought.
Yeah. Look at the transformation of West Hartford Center.
Yes.
Particularly LaSalle Road and Farmington Avenue. I mean, it's gone from retail to restaurant row.
All food. Yep.
And you want to know, even like with the small people that are interested, small business coming into Bloomfield that I've talked with over the last couple of years, great percentage of those have been, restaurant startups. And it is amazing how much they don't know, but we do coach them through if they want to. We help, move Ginza over to what will be their new location. The last couple of weeks, I fielded a couple other calls on restaurants in town. So, that's right now basically what retail is.
Yep.
This is a great conversation, guys. I think it's very helpful, and hopefully you're having it with other entities in town as well. Any other comments from the commission? Okay.
Question: how is the new sushi bar restaurant going? Or how is that going? What's the status on that?
Oh, you mean Ginza moving over?
No, the Ecoy.
Ecoy, yeah.
Okay.
How's that going? I haven't been there yet, but I just want to know you guys got to report back how they're doing in town.
John, have you, I don't think we've heard anything. John, have you heard anything?
I have not heard anything, only, anecdotally, I've heard that they've been doing well, but I have no facts or figures to support that.
I was there about 2 or 3 weeks ago for lunch, and they're very nice people, but boy, the menu is quite diverse. It was very hard to get information. I was very unimpressed, and the place, unless they changed it, the place looked like they just walked in, didn't put a thing on the walls, and opened up with the way Chosen One had run things. So I'm a bit concerned, but again, it was at the beginning, so hopefully there will be some changes there. I'm assuming that's a family that runs that, Denise.
I honestly don't know.
It seemed it had that feel, which is good.
Well,
the good part of it,
probably, it probably is. More of those are local than, you definitely, it's not a chain that's up in the air. So,
well, other people try it, let us know. Okay, we have, surprisingly enough, we have no public today. You'd think that they're home and they couldn't be shoveling yet, but anyway. Okay, unless there's anything else about EDC, we'll go on to the DA. John?
I think we've already done A.
We have.
And repeat it, and I think we've also done B.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I know. I see we're noted on there, and I would say the best thing I could say is to be determined.
Yeah.
We have, as you know, our role is to be an advisor, and we've had inquiries from different folks on the differences between EDCs and DAs and so on, and some of the history. We've answered all the questions, but unless John knows something that I haven't heard, I think it's still a topic that's being discussed and considered. But I haven't had any discussions with anybody about it for probably 10 days or 2 weeks now.
Yeah, I would concur that it's to be determined, that it's still being talked out, and I think also waiting to get either guidance / approval from DECD in terms of where they're going.
We will continue in our long-term role as advisory, and hopefully people will still be interested in our opinion on what's going to be happening in town. I think we're going to have a very short meeting today, unless there are any other comments or questions. I'm going to call for an adjournment. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, Bob, second.
Second.
Second, Lenny. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all very much. Our next meeting is March 12th. John, if there's anything I can do to help you get our new attorney here, I think it's vital that he come and talk to us so that we all understand how this process is moving forward.
I will make sure that you are on his calendar.
Okay.
John, would you do me a favor and call me, please? I just haven't, while we were sitting here, an inquiry from somebody.
I will do that, Denise. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before we adjourn, John, thank you so much. We are so fortunate to have you in town. And sometimes the people with a little more experience aren't the worst people to have in charge. Okay, so I'm gonna say.
Well, thank you, but thank you all for all that you do. I think it's one of the best groups in town.
I absolutely agree.
Both being informed and dedicated and caring, and it's a pleasure to work with you.
Respectful of one another, which is
yes
in short supply these days. So we try to work together. Thank you all very much. Stay safe.
Thank you all.
Have a good time shoveling, and we'll see you next
time. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.